Hello and welcome to this next lecture on Python Power Electronics. And in this lecture, I'm going to actually install Python Power Electronics. So to start off with, I'm just going through this particular schematic of what the requirements of Python Power Electronics are. Now, even though these are the requirements of Python Power Electronics, I'll tell you how all these requirements can be installed automatically. You do not have to actually meet each and every one of them individually, except of course the spreadsheets and the editor for the Python, which in the editor for the Python files, I'll talk about it in another lecture. The schematic editor that is editing spreadsheets, you just have to use any spreadsheet software. So if you're on Linux, you can use LibreOffice, you can use OpenOffice, you can use anything. If you're on Windows, you can use Microsoft Excel or anything else. It's totally up to you. You just need a software that can edit a spreadsheet. Okay, so to do this, to start off with this, first I'm going to open another tab and go to the website for Python Power Electronics, and that is pythonpowerelectronics.com. So this is the website for Python Power Electronics, pythonpowerelectronics.com. So this is my own website where I host everything related to the software Python Power Electronics. You can download the software. There are tutorials. So these are just tutorials on different topics. If you need help getting started, there is the download page. This is where the software can be downloaded. And besides that, there are several other things. For example, there is another website web link, which is the updates page. This is where I post every update related to the software. And besides this, there are several other links where you can get papers. There are different papers on different topics. There is also some simulation cases which you can download and check it out. You can just go through this website once. Right now I'm going to install the software, and for that I need to download it. I'm going to go to the download link, and in this download link you will find that this is where all the versions of the software have been released. Everything that I started off with. Okay, so it goes all the way up to 2015. Now it is always advisable to keep checking this and to install the latest version of the software. Now in another lecture, more in the appendix rather, I'll be having another lecture where I'll tell you how there is an automatic version, or rather a version control system like Git, where you do not have to go and search for the latest version of the software. There is a very convenient command where you can just pull the latest version of the software. So this is something I'll tell you in another lecture, but in this lecture this is the manual version where you have to go to the website, check out the version of the software, download it and install it. So if you're not comfortable using a version control system like Git, this will be good enough. This is a manual way of doing it. So you see the date, there is a release date that is July 12th, 2019, which was fairly recent. I just released this maybe a month back. And at the time of when you watch this video, this may not be the version. So the latest version at the time of making this video is 4.2.3, but when you watch this video, when you go to the website, this version may be much higher, because I do release versions regularly, right? I perform bug fixes, I add features, so there will be newer and newer releases. So it is always advisable to keep checking this website and download the latest version. So I'm going to go download the zip file. There is also a .tar.gz file if you're comfortable with that, but the zip file is good enough. I'm going to download the zip file, and you can download it anywhere you want. I will download it in documents, right? In documents, I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call this simulator. Now you do not have to do this, right? You can download this in any folder, anywhere you want in your computer. And you can of course name it anything you want, because all that matters is when I unzip this file, I'll tell you how it continues from there. So make sure you know where you've downloaded it. So I'm just going to create this folder. Oh, I think I created a double folder, so I'm just going to delete this. So I'm going to save it here. So the folder has been saved. I shall go over to my file browser and go to documents and within simulator. So you see, this is where I have downloaded the the files. This is a zip file. So all I have to do is extract it. This is the directory. Within this, these are the simulation files. Now, the requirements.txt file, I'm going to talk about it soon, but this is not a part of the simulation. This is the collection of packages which the simulator needs. I'll talk about that soon. Within the simulator interface, these are all the simulation files, right? One is the license.txt file. So even if it's an open source software, there is always an open source license, and that's what this is. You're always welcome. Matter of fact, not only welcome, I would encourage you to at least once read this so that you know what are the conditions under which this software is released. The other files are specific to the simulator files. You don't have to know them, but I'm just going to go through them once. The media files, this directory is empty. This is just in case later on I want to release any audio or video or images that this simulator will need. Simulations, these are the simulator files. All right, these are the simulator files. If you want, you can always go through. It's open source, so you can read and check them out, no problem. Simulator interface, these are the settings of the Django project, right? Again, it's open source. You're always welcome to look at it. Static, this is where I save the JavaScript and CSS files because this is a web browser, right? The most important file is manage.py. Manage.py is the launch file of this web browser, and I'm going to tell you about that soon. But before that, let me go over and talk about requirements.txt. So before this, let me go once to the web browser and check out this slide which I was showing before. So these are the requirements of Python Power Electronics. So the Python Power Electronics is a simulation engine which needs Django, and for plotting the files I need matplotlib. So these Django, matplotlib and Python are the core requirements of Python Power Electronics, right? So to make sure that I have installed these requirements and you do not have to manually install them, we have the requirements.txt file. So you can always open it, and when you open this file, you'll see that there is a list of packages. All right, Django is one of them, and NumPy is one of them, matplotlib is one of them. See, there are a lot of packages which have been specified along with the version number. So for example, I'm installing Django version number 2.2.1. I'm installing MATLAB version 3.1.0. So the advantage of having such a requirements.txt file is you can list out all the packages which are needed to be installed, and you can install them automatically with just one command. You do not have to install each and every one of them individually. All right, and I'm going to show you how that's done. So now that we've done this, let's go over to the command line. So in the command line, as always, let's check out where we are. And the present working directory is my home directory. So let's list out the contents. You see, documents is in my home directory. So let me change directory to my documents folder. That's where this is. And within that, I have the simulator directory, which I just created. So within the simulator directory, there is the PPE web app directory, which I just downloaded and extracted. So let me cd into that. And here I'm finally inside the folder that contains requirements.txt. Right? So as before, we have said that within Conda, we will be creating an environment. So let me list out my environments. So in case you don't know, just go back and recollect. This is the command for listing out my Anaconda environments. And here you'll see there is only one environment called base, because in the previous lecture I created some environments and I deleted them because I was just showing you how to create environments and manage them. So let's create a new environment. So let's clear this to get a new fresh screen, and let's create my new folder. So let's call it PPE. Or you can call it circuit simulator. You can call it anything you want. It's basically your environment, so call whatever you feel like. So this should take a little while. I don't think it should take too long because we have downloaded most of the software. It will be stored in my cache. And of course, these are the usual information. This is where the environment location is, and these are the commands to activate it. So now that we've done, let's activate. So I'm basically typing out this command. You can even just copy paste it, but I just typed it out. And you see here, the name has changed, PPE. So it was base, before it was base in parentheses, now it is PPE in parentheses. So now I am in my PPE environment. I have activated my PPE environment. So let me clear this once. So let us check out the version of Python. So for that, we just have to do Python -v. V is capital, and you see the version of Python is 2.7.13. The reason why it's 2.7.13 is because even though we've installed Anaconda version Python 3.7, when we create the environment, sometimes Anaconda still looks for the version of Python which is on my local computer, and the local computers, many Linux systems still ship with Python version 2 as the default version of Python, and that's what's happened. But that doesn't matter. As I said before, you can install any package inside the active environment using Conda. So let's just jump over once to the Firefox browser and look at this slide. We want to install Django package, and we want to install the matplotlib package. These are dependencies for Python power electrons. So going back to our terminal, we can install it with these two commands. We can say conda install Django, conda install matplotlib. This is perfectly okay, right? Now, if you press enter, you'll see that it will actually seek out which are the packages that it's going to need. And I'll just show you. I won't do it because this is not what you should do, right? Do not go ahead with it. So it'll just take some time. You see what's happening. It is now saying that, like for example here, it says these are the updated specs. It says you are looking for Django, you're looking for matplotlib, and it is downloading. It's going to download all these softwares, and that includes Django and matplotlib. All right, besides many others, and it'll install all these packages. So some of these packages have already been installed from previous installations, but so they don't have to be downloaded, but they will still be installed in this new environment. So this is one way to do it, right? But this is never a good way to install a package, install a software. So for example, whenever you are using any Python project, it is never desirable to be installing all the dependencies of that project one after the other, right? And that's the reason why I have this requirements.txt file. So let me clear this once. The way to install this, use it, is we go ahead with the usual conda install, but instead of specifying a package name, I now specify a file by this command --file, right? This --file is an argument which tells conda that what's going to come now is not a package name, but is a file name. And this file name contains all the packages that need to be installed, right? So this is an automatic package installer. That's what this is. So let me click on this. And now you see, it's going to do more or less the same thing. The only difference is now you do not have to specify what are the packages you want. You see what's happened here. We have specified that the file we want to use is requirement.txt, but you see the requirement here is, it now says by specifying requirements.txt, you are saying you want to install all these packages, right? We didn't specify this. The reason why this has been added is because these packages are contained in the requirements.txt file, all right? And this is all you need to do. So just press yes, and this will install everything. Now, as before, this installation will take time because it's a long process. So I'm going to pause the video and come back when it's done. So I would suggest that see through it, make sure that all the packages are installed, and come back when you're done. So the installation is finally done, and with this we have now set up our requirements for Python Power Electronics, right? This is all you need to do. Now the next part is to actually install Python Power Electronics. We have downloaded Python Power Electronics, but we now have to install it. So let me go into simulator interface. Now, as I said before, the next most important file is python manage.py file, right? This is your launch file and a setup file for the web server, which is the interface for Python Power Electronics. So let me just clear my screen to get some more space. Let me list the files again. So the way to use python manage.py is we will use it when we first set up our Python Power Electronics. This is a setup process that we need to follow. And for that, what we have to do is we use, now before that, I could show you the version of Python and make sure that it has changed. So you see now the Python version has changed, Python 3.7.4. And incidentally, it actually has found an even more advanced version of Python. The version of Python that came with Anaconda was Python 3.7.3, but now there's version for 3.7.4. So this shows how quickly it changes. But anyway, never mind. To install this Python Power Electronics, I need to first run a few commands. Now these commands are one time only, right? I'm going to stress on this. Sometimes people see commands and they get scared, but you need to understand is that these are one time only commands. These are commands you need to run to set up your Python Power Electronics. The reason is Python Power Electronics has a web server, and the web server uses a database. When you have a database, it is important that you set up your database. What that means is you need to create tables, you need to write data to the tables, and you need to write the tables to the database. So this is a setup of the database that you need to do, and that needs to be done only once, right? So the way to do it is python manage.py. This means you're executing manage.py using Python. Make migrations simulations, right? What you're saying is for this app called simulation, this is the name of the Django app, create the migrations, right? So this creates the table structure. So let me just enter this and it'll become obvious what's happening. So, and you can see it's pretty obvious. You see, these are the migrations for simulations. Simulations is the name of the app. And you see here, this is the directory here which contains simulations. So these are, within the simulations is your Django app. And you see, these are what it's all, these are the output of this thing. See, create model circuit port. All these models are tables within the database, right? And when you say make migrations, you are creating all the tables. You are creating the table structures, right? This is all under the hood. You don't have to know, but this is just a little bit of additional information just in case you find it a little puzzling. These are, when you run make migrations, you are creating the tables, right? Once you're done with this, let me clear this once. The next thing to do is we need to now write the tables to the database and finalize the database. So how do you do this? Again, you have to say python manage.py. Whenever you want to use manage.py, you have to say Python before that because you're executing manage.py using Python, right? And now it'll be migrate. What you're saying is you've created the tables, now go ahead and write them, right? So this is what it does. And what it's actually saying is I'm writing everything. So this, and there's several other things to Django. One of the reasons why Django is so popular is because Django comes with several inbuilt functions. For example, it comes with functions on authentication, encryption, several things, and that's what this is all is. You don't have to worry. You just have to know that these two commands are what you need to do once and only once when you install a software to be able to create the database structure. That's it. So with this, we can just clear once, and just once I'm going to run this ls list. So you see a new file has come, simulation collection. Simulation collection is your database. We are using an SQLite database, right? You must have heard about SQL. There is MySQL, PostgreSQL. SQLite is a lightweight database that comes with Django. Okay, this is not a production database. This is just a lightweight database, but for Python Power Electronics, that's good enough, right? And the remaining have not changed, right? So we are now ready we have set up our Python Power Electronics and we are now ready to launch the Python Power Electronics software. The way you do this is we are going to launch the web server that is the interface to Python Power Electronics. So let me do that. And for that, I again run python manage.py. So manage.py is the most important file in Python Power Electronics software. It is your launch file, it is your setup file, it is everything else. After manage.py, the most important file is requirements.txt because that helps you to install the dependencies of Python Power Electronics. So I say python manage.py run server. That means run the web server. And you see, it gives you an output. It says system identifier checked, no issues found, 0 silenced, Django version, whatever. Most important, starting development server at this link. This is the link at which you will find the development server. So let's copy this link. Let's copy this link and go over to our Google Chrome. Let's open a new tab and let's paste it. And you see, this is Python Power Electronics software. Okay, this is the landing page, this is the welcome page, and soon I'm going to show you how you can use this to create circuits and simulate them. All right, so with this I'm going to end this lecture, right, because it's already been pretty long. If you have any doubts, if anything didn't work, if you got any errors or you didn't get this landing page or anything else that happened that did not seem the way it is in this video, please post in the Q&A and I'll be happy to help you. Otherwise, I'll just see you in the next lecture. So thank you so much and see you soon. Goodbye for now.